LeBron James just confronted Stephen A. Smith about his son, and let's just say things got heated. Let's break all this down. I'm sure you've heard in the news by now that LeBron James confronted Stephen A. Smith a couple of nights ago regarding his son. I mean, it set the whole sports world ablaze about, what people were saying, what happened, what's going on. Well, it's been said, and Stephen A. Smith has come out and talked about it, about how LeBron approached him, what everything happened. But this has been making all kinds of headlines across the whole sports world. So, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think, was LeBron right in checking Stephen A. Smith for speaking allegedly about his son? Or was Stephen A., being, who he is, was he correct in his criticism of LeBron James? Let's get into it. So let me just, for people who don't know, it's been going on that Stephen A. was at a Laker game a couple of nights ago, and while he's sitting on courtside, LeBron James, I want to say it was in the middle of the third quarter, walked over to him, and you can see him standing over, confronting Stephen A. Smith, and you can see him. He was extremely angry. Things got extremely heated. They both had words, and LeBron walked off and finished the game. Now, what is the background of all this? Okay, it's been reported that, first of all, let me tell you, LeBron James, all-time leading NBA scorer in the NBA history, whether it's for regular season or whether it's for regular season as well as playoffs. He has done everything. I think he has achieved almost every accolade that you can think of that an actual player can have in basketball. He's an NBA champion, 4 times, I think it is. He's won with 3 different teams of the 4 championships, if that's not mistaken, Miami, Cleveland, and the Lakers. But I think he won 2 in Miami. But nonetheless, he is such a decorated player. I mean, he is the face of the league. Even though he's 40 years old, he is still out there just killing them. I mean, he is still one of the top players in the NBA. So he is that guy. Who is Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith is an ESPN sports anchor, probably the most successful sports anchor probably in sports history. I mean, he is very, very big and very successful and very knowledgeable too about the way he covers sports. He does an excellent job at covering sports. I know some athletes have a problem with his controversial takes, but that's what Stephen A. is known for. Stephen A. has always been known to basically shoot first and tell it like it is, and he's always, to his credit, at least from my perspective, I mean, maybe you guys could tell me something different. Stephen A. Smith seems to just talk about what's going on in the players' performances, whether it be football, baseball, basketball. He's pretty much all over the sports spectrum, and he does seemingly a great job, which is why ESPN, I'm sure that was a contributing factor of why he just signed his huge new contract with ESPN, a 5-year extension that's worth several millions. I don't know the details. I just heard about it, how big it is, and it's gigantic. And I think it makes him the highest paid sports anchor on TV today, if not in history. I don't know. You guys tell me though. But anyway, so you got these 2 big characters, right? LeBron being the face of an NBA, all world. Everybody knows that he's an Olympian, gold medalist, everything. Then you got Stephen A. Smith, this very, very popular sports anchor. Well, what happened? Okay, so let's go back for a second. Let's just take a step back here. And let me just show you guys that I want to be precise here. On January 28th, the Lakers were in Philadelphia and they had a road loss, right? They lost a game against Philadelphia. And I want to say it was either that night on ESPN or the next day. Stephen A. Smith says, and I quote, is quoted here, "I'm pleading with LeBron as a father to stop this. Stop this. We all know Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad." And then he goes on to say to LeBron, basically, how are you doing him favors, him being LeBron's son? How are you doing him favors? We know that he's not ready yet. And I'm saying this with compassion. You know what these numbers mean. You know what it's going to do to your son, to the people that are missing out on opportunities, that are busting their tail on other NBA teams and the G League and in Europe and everywhere else. What kind of opportunity they're starving for. You're exposing your son like this. That was Stephen A's take regarding LeBron James' son, Bronny. I think he's LeBron Jr., but they call him Bronny for short. Bronny was drafted into the NBA last season. He's a rookie now in the NBA, but he was drafted last season. I'm sorry, at the beginning of this season, so last summer in June. And he was drafted number 55th overall. Now, it's important to note that there are only 58 picks in the NBA. In the NBA draft, you only have 58 picks. Well, he was number 55 of 58. And so this is what, Stephen A. Smith was basically remarking on how whenever Bronny gets into the game, his career, his short-lived career so far, his short career, he's only averaged a few points per game, a few rebounds, a few assists. He's just basically not, his numbers are not optimal like what people, I guess, what some people would expect. I don't really know anybody, to be honest, who expects to have a second-round draft pick towards the end of the second round to have all these high numbers, but he just pointed it out. And so that angered LeBron. That happened on June 28th. Well, on March 6th, when the Lakers were playing, I can't remember where they were playing, but they had another game, and it was back in LA, right? And that's when you see LeBron stepping to Stephen A. Smith. Basically, what was said here, allegedly what was said, now, people are making remarks about what he said, but Stephen A. Smith has been quoted by going on a couple of shows stating that LeBron said, hey, you got to stop talking about my son. You got to stop talking about my son. You got to stop effing with my son. That's my son. That's my son. And Stephen A was saying, hey, I wasn't really talking about your son. I was talking about you, basically saying you got to stop doing this. But LeBron said, no, keep my son's name out of this. And Stephen A. Smith, the next day, basically he said, he saw LeBron not as an athlete, not as an all-star NBA player. He said he saw him as a father, basically. He said this was a guy who was basically pleading for his son. He said, but what LeBron misunderstood was I wasn't talking about his son. I was talking about him, LeBron himself. Now, LeBron has since responded to that by going on, I want to say it was a couple of nights later, where they had a game against Boston. I think that was against the Boston Celtics. That was like a couple nights ago. Well, anyway, after the game was over, LeBron kind of said, well, when he says, and I quote, I'm pleading with you as a father to stop this. I'm pleading with you as a father. LeBron said, no, I can't with that. I can't. You can't talk to me about being a father to my son. You basically can't do that. He said, LeBron was saying, no, I'm pleading. No, he said, no. He said, once, and I quote, once he talks about that, I'm pleading as a father, I can't. That's what he told Richard Jefferson in his rant regarding the whole thing. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think sports anchors should leave athletes' children alone? Or is this a different situation? I mean, in this particular case, the world star athlete, LeBron James, has a son that's now a public figure in the NBA. Do you think, even though he's still a public figure and playing for one of the most storied franchises in the Los Angeles Lakers, do you think that Stephen A. Smith should be able to talk about him? Or just to bring it more precise and concise, to break it down more, was it wrong, in your opinion, was it wrong for Stephen A. Smith to talk about LeBron as a father and not as a sports figure? You tell me, what's off limits, what's on limits? Was LeBron right? Was Stephen A. Smith right? You tell me your thoughts in your comments down below. Let me know what you think. And, and we'll have a follow-up video responding to this. But this is what's going on right now, making headlines. LeBron, all-world, all-great NBA player, and Stephen A. Smith, one of the top sports anchors probably to ever do it. And these two colliding is interesting. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. And remember, I'm always here for you. I'm always here to break down. This is just an interesting story in the world of sports. So you tell me what you think. It's your brother, Attorney Jeff.